No, it's one. Hello.
Hello, Lucas.
Hi, how you doing?
I think I cannot hear you, Lucas, by the way. Is your connection, maybe?
Yeah, maybe
Hello,
something
Tristan?
wrong.
Nice, good. I was about to ask that.
Can you hear me, by the way?
Good.
How about me? Because I think
Audio, speaker, display port, this one.
You
Okay.
both be loud and clear.
Yeah, now I can hear you guys. Yeah.
okay. You look like Jedi now.
Yeah, exactly.
My heating's on, but my apartment's friggin' cold.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
eating for you. Honestly, that knows when like back in Poland, the average temperature in every room is like plus 28, and that's a standard.
Yeah.
It's like plus 19, maybe 20.
That's so funny. Jesus. That's really fun. That's really hot. How's it going? Hermanus, I've been waiting to ask you this question for days now.
No.
Okay, no, this is just a question about like your name. At home in South Africa, do your friends and family call you Mani?
No.
They don't call you. What do they call you?
Fawn.
Fawn.
Hermanus is actually one of my two names because my parents hated me. So
Okay.
I'm actually Hermanus Stephanus. And
Hermanus Stephanus. That's so
and the Stephanus part, like Stefan,
yeah.
they just grab Fawn from that because it's short and quick. And
Yeah.
apparently I'm like the fifth. So we have to have a way to differentiate between one another.
Okay. Sorry, wait, you're the fifth Hermanus?
Yeah.
It's like generational
Yeah.
family, father.
Oh, father's father.
Wow. Cool.
Recursion up into the fifth. Base case is the fifth. Sorry, quick question. Eduardo, do we just send you the GitHub link for everything that we've done?
The GitHub link or the zip file, whatever is faster for you.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
I'm gonna, yeah.
Because I'm gonna send you my GitHub link. I finished like 10 minutes ago. But I'm just going to host it in the meantime. I actually put a crap load of work into this considering how much I hate CSS. Only because I'm bad at it, but
I did not put that much work into this. I don't know. It's like I don't feel clever when I learn to do something in CSS. I'm not like, oh, that's sick. Oh wow. I'm just like, okay.
Okay.
It's like
I'm
it's
just
like
thankful if things
latex
go
editor.
where I want them to go. That's,
Yeah.
that's
It's like a more complex latex editor.
Yeah, maybe that's why I don't hate latex like everybody else. Yeah, because I actually quite good at CSS, so it's no problem for me.
I think once you get good at it, it becomes fun.
Yeah, to be honest, I really like it.
I agree. I imagine so.
Yeah, we actually built one of the biggest, most visited websites in Ecuador using pure CSS, and the thing fly like you can use even the crappiest Android device, and that website load fast. Like it was a nice experience, to be honest.
But that's getting popular again, isn't it? Building like complete static pages, just HTML, CSS, no JavaScript. If it's obviously like a normal, just a static page and it doesn't
Exactly
have any functionality.
Yeah, there is one even library called Gatsby. I think I butchered the pronunciation, but I think it's Gatsby JS that allows you to write the web page using React, and then it will become pure HTML and will be fly as well. Yeah, let me put in the. I will mention that one in the other technologies, but
interesting.
That one. So yeah, for high performance pages, yeah, there is a lot of options out there. So, okay, it's 5 o'clock, because we don't know if everybody will join, we're gonna start literally
That was,
right
sorry,
now.
that was a question I had about
Yeah.
CSS and HTML. When you are choosing between different options in like CSS, whether you're, I don't know, there's like lots of different things you can do, right? But if you have multiple options, whether you're inputting the color this way, that way, et cetera, or where you're making certain changes, or if you're grouping common, like shared things like the subtitle, do we ever have to really think about performance? Or is it so minute within CSS that you
No. For me, in CSS, the only thing that will drag down your performance is you actually duplicate code like crazy. For example, we saw how to refactor today the subtitle to remove duplicate tags. So if you have like 1,000 duplicate tags, the lines of code in CSS that actually could be refactored, then you will start losing performance. But it's not something critical that 3 lines will actually make the difference.
Sure.
So yeah, let's get started. Let me share the screen. Hello, Jeremy. There is no PowerPoint slides for this one. This one, we go a little bit more off top, freestyle. What we are gonna explain today is a little bit about how to use a tool called Figma. That is a free graphic design tool. Just to show you how to make some quick prototypes. Why I consider this a useful skill for a front-end developer, because it's 1,000 times faster to just draw something on a screen where you can click and click and show something how it works, than to spend an entire evening or weekend coding something. So when you reach the group project, you will need to build a project, a website with certain functionality, but we don't show you a preview of how the website should look. So you will start throwing ideas around, and you maybe think that your entire thing is on the same page, but if you told them, hey, can you draw what we are talking about? Everybody will have a different picture in their mind. So using a prototype tool to just to organize our ideas is something that will help you along the way. And if you actually apply as a front-end developer, if you just mention that you know a little bit of Figma or a graphic design tool, it will actually make you pop up between other candidates. It doesn't mean that I'm gonna intend you to teach you the entire user interface design, because we just saw that we took almost an entire week just for the basic of HTML and CSS. So probably I will need 1 year to teach all what I I teach in graphic design. So just we'll cover the ultra hyper basics, and we're gonna skip a lot of content, by the way. So with that out of mind, let's get started. This is the Figma program. If you already created your account, you already know what is this screen. It's the dashboard where you can see all your projects. Let me show you a quick demo of the ones I was building, so we can see what is the benefits of using a graphic design tool like this one. Okay, you can actually work together in this one. This is a quite nice feature. So again, quite useful for your teammates. And as you can see, this is a quick demo that I just built that looks like the study materials that you can see on the SDA platform. Let's see how it works. I will press play like it's a PowerPoint slide, but this throws me a new screen. And you can see literally the frame of an iPhone. And if I click anywhere on the screen, when I click the program Figma actually shows me a little hint that, okay, only the first link has some interaction. So if I click the link, it goes to the next page. And if I click on the back, I go back and forth. It's super simple. I know that you can say, why I'm wasting my time doing this? If you just did your CV today, you will know that making these 2 pages in HTML will take you maybe 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. But I did this in just 5 minutes right before the course started today. So as you can see, you can share ideas ultra quickly by using this kind of tools. And once everybody's on the same page, you can start making the code real in HTML and CSS. Imagine that somebody tells you, no, I don't like this design. you just waste 5 minutes. That's okay. Imagine if you just wrote this in HTML and CSS and it took you 5 hours. Imagine feeling the sensation that, okay, your idea is totally useless and you need to start over. Losing 5 hours of work can be really frustrating. So making a prototype is in this one, especially for clients and this is super important, especially for clients that they don't know what they want until they see it. It's so much better to build a prototype in this kind of tools and then just go with the client getting feedback, and he probably gonna say, no, I want totally something different, but you know that it's faster to gather feedback in this stage than trying to build a web page and then waiting for feedback at the end. Because if you do that, you're gambling until, let's see if the client actually wants the site that I just built, or he will make a request additional changes that are time consuming, and sometimes depending on the kind of the project, refactoring is so hard that it becomes an annoying experience. So I hope that this shows you the idea of using prototyping before diving into a project, regardless if we're talking about Java or JavaScript or a web page or a database application or anything. It's a nice idea to actually do a quick and dirty prototype before actually committing to your code. So, well, with that, let's get started. I will start a new project, file new. I will delete this one. I will delete this one. And we start on an empty canvas. First, before we actually start doing anything on the screen, I want to show you a quick look at the interface. In the center, you can change the name of your project. For example, this will be optional lecture 1, and this is the name of your project. If you press on the right, you will start in the presentation mode, but we don't have anything yet. If you press share, you can start working like in Google Docs. You know Google Docs, so I don't need to press this button. You know how it works. You invite people and go on and so forth. Your main drawing tools are the basic shapes: a rectangle, lines, arrows, circles, polygons. You can actually increase the number of faces. So it's not a triangle tool. It's a polygon tool that you can actually add more faces. Same with a star or inside an image. This one in the left is the frame tool. And what is a frame? A frame is basically a building box where you are the canvas. Yeah, that's a better description. It's a canvas where you actually will work. So if I press a frame, you can see a list of popular devices. You have iPhones, the iPhone SE. You can choose a tablet, and you see options for the tablet. You can go for the desktop. You can use even smartwatches, physical paper, social media post size, and so on and so forth. So for this demonstration, I will go with the iPhone SE. And you can see this white area is my whatever content I will put in my iPhone. And on the left, you see a panel with options. Right now, the only item that we see on the screen is the iPhone SE. Let's rename this one by calling like double click and call it, for example, home screen. And then I will press again the artwork tool, another iPhone, and I will call this, for example, an article screen. Article. There you go. And in this one, now, before we start making projects, I want to start adding the colors that I use in the SDA. So let's draw a quick shape, in this case, a circle. If I press the Option key in your keyboard, you can see that the mouse cursor changes from a normal black arrow to two arrows, one black and one white. That means that I will be able to clone the project, the file, the object, sorry. And then if I press Command D, I will duplicate shapes 1, 2, 3, 4 times. I see gray shapes. Now I will change the color for these ones. To win time, I actually copy the colors from the SDA and into this snipping tool. So I just go to my right panel. Remember, the left panel is for the items that we have on the entire monitor. And on the right, each time that I choose one, I can change the options of this particular item. So I will choose the first item and I will change it in color red. There you go. The next one is orange. As you can see, the first one I choose ellipse, circle 1 is red, circle 2 is orange, circle 3 will be yellow, circle 4 will be green. And for the purpose of this demo, I think with 4 colors, you get the idea. Now, why am I creating elements outside the screen? The reason is because if I want to choose a shape, and put it inside here, and I click here, look at what is happening. The color that I just created beforehand appears on me as a shortcut. So that means that I can quickly change items on the screen. So in this case, I will create a quick dirty button and just called yellow. Oh no, let's actually create the same material item that we use in the SDA platform. Let's create this one, shall we? And we have the colors to make, for example, this one, and this one. So let's create this element right now. I'm in another program called Sketch, but Sketch is paid, so that's the reason I prefer to use Figma as a training tool. So I will draw a rectangle. I will replicate that material item that you see in the platform. The size is 64 pixels. I can change the size here as well. By the way, if I click in these constraint proportions, I can make the rectangle. Otherwise, if I change this value, it will change in both axes. I will change the color based on one of the colors that I have on my palette screen. If I want to make a border radius, just like in CSS, I can put a value here, for example, 16. And this is something cool that you can actually use Figma for. If I click on this square and I go into spec in this panel, I see CSS code. I see the background color and the border radius. And these are properties ready to copy and paste in your project. So if you hate to write CSS by hand, these tools can actually help you a bit. Right now, in order to position absolute, I really hate to use that one in graphic design. So just focus on these two ones for now. So right now I have this one, and I will also create a title for this example. This will be the hyperlink. The font size is too small. I can change this one in text, and the cool part, and this one. And the cool part is that it has complete integrations with Google Fonts. So if you find a Google font that you like, for example, Google Fonts. If you find one font that you actually like it, you can just write it down here. For example, let's use the Gothic one that I use in the SDA, in the CV that we just saw early today. Change the font size, perfect. And I can make the box size, I can extend the box size in case, for example, if you saw the SDA platform, sometimes the one link actually has multiple lines. You can change it here. If I click here and choose these options, for example, this one is aligned to the middle. Let me see why I cannot see it. Oh, there you go. I can change the box size. I can align items. For example, if I choose these ones, with the top tools, I can align items. If I press the option key in my keyboard and I choose this element, if I press the option key, I can see that it tells me how far away is for the border of the screen. And if I hover the mouse against the element, I can see how far behind it is. So I can use 8 pixels to make it look pretty. And this one, I can make it 16, 8. And this one to the right will have 13. So I can actually go to the width, to the width property. And you can actually use a little bit of math. You can actually put -3. Now it becomes 16. I can change the color of the text here as well. And as you can see, it's hexadecimal values, but you can change to RGB here, but you need to input 3 values, so hex is faster. There we go. And now, before this, before I make the button, I want to show how to make the designs pretty by using the icons that we saw today. if you go to Font Awesome, for example, you can start for free. Click here, and you can download the icons, the icons to your computer. Click download, and then download again. You will start download the files. I already have it here, but I will open the zip file right now. Just give me 1 second. This is the one that we just downloaded, and it's this folder. And we go to the file to the folder. There is a lot of folders. Just ignore everything and just focus on the folder called SGB, that is scalable vector graphics. And then go to you have brands for the most popular brands. For example, Angular, that is a web framework. Apple Pay, Bitbucket, Bitcoin, Amazon. So if you want brand icons like LinkedIn, you can use it from here. But we're going to focus on the normal icons right now. So for example, I have, let me see something, this chess piece. I will copy it, and you can paste the vectors inside the Figma. Perfect. And I will create this, I will put this one, I will create a gallery of icons. I will use 3 icons in this example, but I will create a gallery of icons so you can achieve the same effect that I have at the platform. For example, if I go to this particular element and I don't want to use the play icon, I can change the icon here and change the color. So that's how we design this platform. Funny story, real story. When we showed this design to the teachers the first time, Dina jumped, "Hey, I need a special section for the workshop." And I say, "Okay, no problem." I literally did this workshops and use the color purple, and that was it. If I had to do that in code, it will take me 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours in coding. So yeah, it's faster to use graphic design tools beforehand. You commit to to code a project. So in this case, I will create a gallery of icons that I can change at will, just like I show you. I choose my icon. I press this constraint proportion option. I will use a standardized size for the icons, for example, 16. You can see that the horse is taller than is wider. So to avoid having problems when your icons become distorted like this, I will create a small square right now. I will put it in I will make it make 16 pixels wide, a perfect square. I will put the horse right here in the middle, and I will group it. But I don't want this square to appear on the screen. So if I go to I select the square, I press the icon, it disappears. It doesn't mean that it was deleted. You can see this the rectangle. I will actually change it as background, and I will call this icon. Now I can group it and create a component. What is a component? A component is an special item that can be swapped with similar elements. Right now, it doesn't make sense, but I promise that it will make sense just in a moment. So right now, I will use another icon. For example, the one with the something quickly, the kiwi. Okay, I will paste it. Remember this black thing on the screen is a giant icon. I will make it smaller. I click on this one for keep the proportions. And remember, we want that the icons will be always in 16. So if this image is actually wider, I will put 16 here instead in the height. And my kiwi is around here. And I will repeat. Oh, sorry, too much zoom. And I will repeat the same thing here with the rectangle. I will create a rectangle. I will call it background. 16. I will put my kiwi on top of that. There you go. And I will call this kiwi. I will make this element transparent. Remember, it doesn't mean that it's deleted. It's just invisible to the screen. And create another component. And this component, this is the component number 2. I will rename this one to, for example, icon horse. And this one will be called icon kiwi. Icon kiwi. Perfect. Let me delete this element that was here floating around. And let's add one more icon. So for example, the trash one. Yeah, this one is a classic one when you want to delete elements on the web page. So yeah, this one is quite nice. Again, constraint proportions and see which one of the two sizes is the bigger one. And in the bigger one, I said 16. I zoom out a little bit because it's probably around here. I create another rectangle. I call it background. I make it 16 pixels wide. I make it invisible. And by the way, the reason I'm cutting and pasting elements is because each time that you cut something, for example, if I put it here, well, each time that you cut something, it will and paste it again, it will appear on top of the previous element. So that's why I'm cutting and pasting all the time. So right now I will put this trash. There you go. And create a component, and then again, icon trash. So I have a small gallery of icons here, and I will put it next to my gallery of colors. There you go. Now, now we start seeing the fun part. Let me delete this one. You can see on the left that these ones are purple. These ones are when I see them on the left panel, they are when I choose them on the screen, they have a blue border, and here they have a gray border. But this one has a purple border here and a purple border here. This means that it is a component. What is special about a component? We are not going to see it right now. If I click on the first one, copy it, and paste it here, it will appear here. This is a copy of my component. You can see something different. This one has 4 black points, purple points as a diamond shape, and this one is only a empty diamond shape. That means that this one is an instance of this one. Because your coders, I will use an analogy. These ones are the classes in Java, and this one is an object. This one is an object. There is an instance of this particular class. So you can see that graphic user interaction design and coding are not that far away, or we can reutilize a couple of analogies as well. So I will make this one. I will center these elements. Sorry, this one. I will make this one bigger. Perfect. And I will change the color of the instance. Notice that the horse here doesn't change at all, because this one is the class and this is the instance. The instance is the one that has been modified, but the original class is intact. So I will align it in the center. I will use, for example, a black color as a reference. Imagine that this is my neutral instance, and this is the link name. I'm using generic names on purpose. You will see why. With these 3 components selected, remember the link name, the icon horse, and let's call this background. And I put the icon here, and this is my just an icon. I create a component right now. Create a component. I will put it outside as well, just to be organized, because I don't want to confuse my components with my instances. So outside the canvas, I will have my components, and inside the canvas, I will have the instance. And this one will be called, for example, my study link, or link with icon. Yeah, this is something that you can actually understand quite better. With icon, just to organize, I will call this one. I will use Command G to create a small folder. I will call this folder colors. And now let's play with this one. If I double click here, I can change the name. For example, JavaScript tutorial. Notice that this one doesn't get affected. I can change the color. You can see that now I have multiple colors. This white is for the icon, and this one is for the background. And I can choose the colors in my palette. Perfect. I can copy this one and change the color, for example, to green. Perfect. And you notice something, that the text color change along with the icon, and I don't want to do that. So I will go back to my component. That was a mistake on my part. And I will choose a different color for this one. So for example, I will choose pure black. I will delete these ones. And now we can see that my component has 3 colors: black for the text, a dark gray for the background, and white for the icon. So I will copy these ones again. I will change the color only for the icon. Perfect. And now this can be called JavaScript tutorial. This one I will create another one. I will call it lecture 1 recording. I'm using the same color that I'm using in the platform. So this one will be red. And this can be, for example, software engineering, UML, and this will be a PowerPoint slide. I will choose instead of red, orange. And how do I change the icons? This is the reason that the icons, I create the icons as components. If I go to this element, I can see that you can actually expand it like a small folder. So this one, I will expand it here, and in the icon, if I click on the icon, I can see on the panel on the right, icon horse, and I can switch it to icon kiwi, and then change the color back to white. And this one can be, for example, I close this one, I expand this one, choose icon, and put the trash one icon here, and there you go. So now we have reusable components inside Figma. Now let's say that we want to show this tutorial. Let's use the second page to create a small article. I will say this article about JavaScript. This is my title. I will align it 16 pixels, just like this ones. For example, this one are aligned 16. Let me align it 16 as well. Oh, by the way, if you actually want to play around with this space between these two, you can choose the option tidy up, and they will become the same number. And you can see the line in the middle, and you can play around. There you go. There you go. So you have a perfect alignment, and you can play around. Imagine, for example, if you're talking about CSS code, if you have your icon here, now you can understand, hey, I need to add a margin border to each item so they become 16. So each item, imagine if we are talking about code, each item is throwing a margin border here 16. This one is throwing 16 here, and this will throw 16 to the next one. And this space that we have around the border, imagine that is a body that has a padding of 16 pixels. So you can see how we connect the design with the code. So well, let's go back here, and we have 16. Let's make it fill the entire space. 11. Let's subtract. I think it's 5. There you go. Yep. And we'll make the font size bold, just like in the web page, and we'll make it way bigger. I can adjust if they want the align on the top of the box, in the middle of the box, or in the base of the box. In this case, I want it on the top, and I will make the font size a little bit smaller because that was too much. There you go. That's perfect. And I will write some fake text right now. I have no idea what to write right now, so I will use the trick on Visual Studio Code of just using the lorem ipsum. So I will open Visual Studio Code. I will create a p tag, lorem, save it, and this creates a nice text for me. I close Visual Studio Code. This is too big. I need to actually put it in lightweight. Make it 14. There you go. There you go. And there you go. Perfect. And I can copy this paragraph once again. Perfect. You can see that these two paragraphs are too close together. Let me see in this tool called Figma how I make this change. I think that's okay. This is the space between the paragraphs. So for example, look at this. So please don't do this. This is horrible. Don't do this. You actually have a property for this one. And this we will put it 16, for example. There you go. And I will create a button because my intention is to navigate between this screen to this screen. I will create a quick button, rectangle. Because it's a component, I will actually create it right outside. And then I will put it inside. The height, something important. If you want to make a button for mobile, the minimum recommended height is 44 pixels, because if you make it smaller, it's harder to touch it with the big thumbs. Remember, on a cell phone, you have a small screen and a big finger. That is totally the opposite of a computer monitor, that you have a big screen and a super accurate device called the mouse or the touch screen or the touchpad. So make your icon, your buttons bigger on purpose just to avoid that. I will make this one blue. I don't remember the exact color blue of the SDA, but I think it's quite close to this one. I remember you can make round corners here, and I will make it 8 pixels, so it's not that rounded. I will make it 48 because that's the size I use for the SDA, and the width for the button in the SDA is 152. So this is the standard size of the SDA button. I will create the name. I use a generic name because remember, my components are meant to be, it's like a Java class. It's meant to be instantiated, and in the instance, I will make my particular changes. So this one will, for example, it will be 18 pixels, center, totally centered. And this one, perfect. And I will create a component. I will call this element, I will call it background, just to be organized, background. And this is my button label, perfect. Sorry, let me pick only these two and create a component. And this will be called button. Right now, there's only button, so I don't need to say button primary, button secondary, etc., etc., etc. And I will put it 16 pixels, 24, just because if I put it too close to the border of the screen, like for example 16, that means that your user, if you see my iPhone, needs to try to reach the border and probably gonna touch the home button without by mistake. So this is a nice tip. If you want to make something on the bottom, try to add more pixels, like 24 at least. Remember, this is the instance. Don't use the instance. Make a copy, Command C. Choose the article screen and Command B, and paste it in the center. Remember, this one is the component because it has the four purple buttons. And as you can see, if you modify the instance, if you modify the class, the instance doesn't get modified. But if I modify the instance, nothing happens. So that's why it's important to use these kinds of reusable components. So I will double click here and I will say go back. There you go. Go back. I will put it 24 pixels. 24. Perfect. Now I want that I will add a quick title here. Just let me add the same title, copy, paste. And I say this is the home screen or web development. This is the web development module. And these ones will have 24 pixels, for example. No, 36 is okay. Perfect. And I want to go from the web development module to an article directly about JavaScript. How I do that? I click on an element. It doesn't need to be a component. It can be any square or shape. But the reason that we create the components is so we can make these small variations. So I pick this element. I go to my properties panel. And in the property panel, I see three tabs. Right now, we are on the design. The last one is inspect, where we can see a couple of properties. In the prototype, you have an option called interaction. I will press the new interaction, and it says on tab. Maybe you can use hover effects. You can use a keyboard effect. You can use a mouse over, so to make an over effect. But right now, tab is for both for mobile and for desktop mouse clicks. So I will use the tab. And on tab, right now it says nothing. No, we want to navigate to somewhere else. The option called Open Overlay means that show a pop-up on the screen. So for example, if one element was hide, you can make it appear on the screen. So, but right now we're gonna focus on the basics. We're gonna say navigate to, and then choose article screen. Perfect, and now you can see this one means that this is my starting point. As soon as I press Pedal A, I will go to the home screen. And you can see an arrow that goes from here to here. That means that I'm going to this article. And in the go back, I do the same. I go to my inspect panel, prototype, tab, and tab, and navigate to. And I will go back to the home screen. There you go. Now I go back and forth. Let me create a new screen just in case. Oh, sorry. If you press Alt or Option, you can create a duplicate. I will change this one for lecture 1 recording. And instead of having text, this one will have actually a video. We cannot put a real video inside Figma because we are on a prototype, we are not coding, but you can place an image, by placing here, place an image, and you can choose an image for the hard drive, put it here. It's too big, so I will make it smaller. And to fake that it's a video, just design, let me put it here. I think it's 320 is the actual size. And to fake that this is a video, I will just literally draw a triangle on top of that and make it, I will rotate this one. Rotation is, in this tool is, okay, let me see, what do I do rotate in Figma? I think I need to, let me see, how do I rotate in Figma? More corners moving. Okay, I can make the corners a little bit better. 4 pixels, so it's more friendly. I can make it wide. Let me see how I rotate in Figma.
I think it's below the width property.
Sorry?
Width property, below the width property.
Oh, okay, yes, this is the angle. Yeah, you're right. Thank you so much. Perfect. Now I can play around. It's not 90, maybe it's 45. 90. Okay, 90, and then I just can, yeah, if this is 90, it's 180. No, 270. There you go. And let me make it a little bit smaller because this is too big. Again, you realize I always use 24. I always use multiples of 8 because it's easier to have a harmony in your design, into your design. So in this case, I will make it 80 pixels because I wanted to make it bigger, but if it's too big, I will make it 72. And this is a perfect size, and I can choose the 2 elements. Sorry, mix it up, perfect. And I will actually, because I don't want to use multiple videos in this demo, I will not make it a component, but I can group it together and say this is a video, perfect. And this one in prototype, I will actually do the same. Sorry, on tab it will go to the home screen because it's a copy of this one. Actually, the button has the same information. And let's create a last one. So for example, let me duplicate this one, and this one will be the slides. Software engineering, UML slides. So for example, this one will be, well, just to make it faster, I will just use your imagination that this one are PowerPoint slides. And now you can see that each one, this one is linked to this one is linked to this one is linked to this one, and this one is to this one. I will add interaction for this one. Go to navigate to, and then choose, oh, you need to rename your files so you can see which one is which one. So article screen, this will be video screen, and this will be a slide screen, perfect. So now I can use this one, navigate to video screen, and this one will be to the navigate to navigate to, and then to the software screen. Now that we have a couple of interactions, we can just press play, and it will open a new window. If you want to see where is your project beforehand, in Safari, you can press window, merge all your windows, and then all your tabs appear. So this one is the project, optional lecture number 1, and this is the demo screen. So in this one, I can press the first one, and it goes to the article. I can press the second one, and it goes to the video, and you can go to the third one, and go to the third one. There is multiple options that you can actually do in Figma. If you actually make the screen bigger, so for example, let me just quickly do this one, bigger on purpose. Just let me be sure that the width is correct, 320. And I will create a new copy of this one, and I will just change it to blue. This is generic, because I want to duplicate it like 20 times. Sorry. Click. Option. I will duplicate it again once more. There you go, there you go. One more time. Perfect. If I press the product play again, you will be, and everything goes well, you can see that you can actually drag and scroll. Quite nice. And you can actually, let me see, for example, you can actually tell, for example, that something is fixed. Let's say that the client wants that the header is fixed here. So I can put the header here. Where are we? And this is the home screen, and the title will be go on top. So I drag it. I will make this one a light shade. There you go. And this one will become, for example, instead of black, it will be darker. Perfect. I will align these items. I can make a group or a component, either a group or a component, and I can tell them fixed position while scrolling, and let's see what is happening right now. If I go again to the demo and everything goes well, look, you can actually make that stay on the screen. So for example, if you see that the iOS apps actually always has a taskbar at the bottom, you can replicate that effect with that one, and you can put links as well to navigate. So, well, we have 20 minutes left. I think that this is enough for the basics of the navigation. One thing is how to use the tool. You learn how to use the tool, but the question is, okay, how do you actually make a design? How do we make a pretty design? Option number 1 is going for a graphic design bachelor's degree for 4 years. Option number 2, that is faster. We can enter a web page like Dribble. There is a collection of design inspirations. For example, let me see this one. Let me use this one. We create a similar button like this one here. And now that you can see these buttons, come on, you know how to make this one. Just make a circle shape, add a checkmark icon, use the text size in bold, make a dark gray. This one is a circle with an icon of an arrow. So now that you can see a design, you just start copying it until you become more comfortable making designs on your own. You can make, for example, let me see, okay, let me see what is happening. Let me write it again. Okay, and let me see if there is an example of a reference website. There you go. You have a reference for your websites. If you want to look, oh, I need to sign in you need to create an account. But there you go. If you don't know how to make the design for your personal project, just copy this one. That's it. So any questions right now?
I have a question.
Yeah, let me stop sharing so I can see your faces. Yeah, there you go.
How much would you be able to use Figma when you then start coding? Like how much CSS you would copy, or like what would be the general routine for you, like around that? When you designed it in Figma and then you start coding, what parts would you copy, or how would you do generally?
Okay, maybe I'm trying to understand the question is how much complex are my prototypes or something like that. Is that the question?
No.
No, go again, sorry.
So like you designed your project in Figma, right? And you have like everything beautiful, and you want now start coding, like writing HTML, CSS, and so on. How much of the Figma code you can use? Because you showed us that there is CSS in it. So how would you use that CSS in your like project? How, like you individually, how you do it in your project?
Yeah, that's a good question. Let me go back to Figma. Let me close this one. For example, remember that in this one, we actually added a space between the paragraph. Oh, sorry, I am not sharing the screen. Let me go back. Share the screen. There we go. Let me go back to Figma. And remember, in this one, we were playing around with the font size. We choose the light. We choose the font size. And we also added this particular paragraph height. We can play around with it. For example, this is line letter spacing. This one is paragraph spacing. This is line height. This is another property. So for example, I can put it 24. And you can see there is more space between the lines. This one is the paragraph line, and this is a line. I can go to inspect. Okay, for example, these ones I can actually use it. I don't care about the position absolute because that's hard coding stuff, and you don't do that. I just teach you how to use flexbox and grid to make the stuff dynamically. But for example, you can save time by using the font size and the line height and the font style normal, the font family. This one, for example, has a font weight bold, font size 28, line height 35. So yeah, these small snippets allows you to, as you can see it, and let me for this one I will need to open the the PowerPoint slides, the CSS slides. 1 second. Just give me 1 second. Figma can help you with background color, background image, border radius, border properties, the shadow. Shadows are a pain. Let me add a shadow, for example, to this button. Design, effects, drop shadow, and you can see the drop shadow. And if I go to inspect, you have the drop shadow here. The filter is a new property, but yes, it's for a more advanced shadow system. But you can actually see that you have the properties, the X, Y, the spread, and the RGB values. You can just copy this one. This will work just as well as the box shadow that I teach you yesterday. So yeah, for example, this coding shadows by hand in CSS is a pain. This one just saved you like 5 minutes of experimentation. So I don't expect to use Figma or Sketch to position elements on the screen. I don't want to do that, but I can use Figma to save me time in these ones and in these ones, and that's a lot. That's a lot of amount of work saved. That was the question?
Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, long story short, don't attempt to use the layout CSS code. Do the layout by hand, and then all this attention to details that are the space 16 pixels to the left, a little bit of shadow here, a little bit of color here. That one you can use copy design in Figma. And remember, before doing Figma, first let me share the screen once more. So beforehand, before you start making code, you would go to Figma. And before you go to Figma, you choose a design beforehand that you want to copy. So that will be the steps. Let me write it down. Just 1 second. The window. So this is my mental process. Mental process for a web project. Step number 1. I will put it on the purpose. Step number 2 is watch design inspirations. You can either choose one option and literally copy paste by the detail, or you can actually browse around a couple of websites, like for example, this one, this one, this one. This one looks pretty, look. We didn't see, I'm trying to come up with a third option, and this is another one that is quite nice. This one is nice as well. You can start saving around these images. I know that this one image is small on purpose. You can make a gallery of what we call in graphic design a mood board, and you can start seeing these images side by side and say, okay, I like this button, I like this font. Let me show you, for example, the one for the SDA, if I still have it. This is my personal project for the SDA, and this is in, let me see, design. We have a design form, and this is the one we just saw, a mood board. Look, we have a lot of stuff based on blue. That's the reason you can see the branding of the SDA is blue with black. It's inspired by this one. And we have a couple of inspiration for the UI. I have folders. It's not as 100% identical to the ones that we have in the SDA, but it's an inspiration. This is another inspiration. This looks like similar to the landing page. So you can use that as an inspiration. The button examples. Hey, sidebar on the left. Interesting. Another sidebar on the left. Interesting again. So you can see if you don't want to copy, you can start looking around for multiple resources until, hey, another sidebar. Maybe that's why we actually ended with a sidebar. And so on and so forth. So my first process is still a secret. I will tell you right at the end. Then design inspirations. Then number 3 is create my own design. Create my own design. But because you are coders and you are not a graphic designer, nobody expected to actually do that. You can actually fuse the step number 2 and 3 into a copy a design or receive a design from a developer. Number 4, make a prototype. Figma or Sketch. I use a Sketch, but Figma is good. The reason that I use a Sketch is because I have more than 5 years of experience using a Sketch. That I don't see any benefit in moving to Figma. Figma has an advantage, it's free. But I have 5 years of knowledge in using a Sketch. So if you make me pick between paying $100 for a Sketch every 2 years, that is the time the cost of the license, or switch to Figma, to be honest, I still prefer to Sketch. But Figma is quite good, by the way. And number 3 is code the project. And what is the secret step number 1 is actually, spreadsheets. And there is a nice article, the biggest what the fucking design. This one actually helps you understand how to make the screens. Let me just show you real quickly. You're supposed to read this one, but let me go real quick about this one. So before I start coding and before I start designing, first I grab a piece of paper, literally paper, and I say, okay, I will have a screen where there is a home screen. Then there is a form screen where I create an input and a password and a sign button. And then I show a confirmation email. I can see in a step, blah, blah, blah. Step number 1, number 2, number 3. So this is part of project management. So this is my process work. First, I organize the project, and that includes read the case, comma, paper screens to know which, before they read the case, spreadsheet to organize information, and then the paper screens. The spreadsheet, let me show you real quick what I mean for the spreadsheet. Let me go to now that we finished software engineering, I can show the solutions for the case study. First one, read the case, highlighted.
Come out here.
So yeah, this was the answers. Step number 2, I will use the workshops solutions. Exercise, for example, the workshop number 1. I will open the workshop, the second one, the one that was the marketing case. Oh my God, I don't know. Okay, let's go. I copy the case first, then I started to organize and I use colors. Then I create my user role table. Then I create my resource table. Then I start making the predecessor table. Then you can see the dependencies, and then I make my graphics. So let's go back to my process flow, organize the project with the case, the spreadsheet, paper prototypes. Then I don't go to directly to build a prototype. Then I want to watch some design inspirations. After the inspirations, I make some changes here, maybe some changes here. Then I create my own design. I go to my prototype. Here I gather feedback from the client, gather feedback from the client. Why I do it here before I code the project? Because remember, we build a prototype in a couple of minutes in Figma. Make the CV took you 5 hours. If the client doesn't like your design, you just will throw away 5 hours of your life. Here you maybe throw 20 minutes, 30 minutes at tops. That's it. This is the project. You can actually you can take a screenshot, Command-Shift-3 if you actually want to get this particular resource. And let's take another question before we end this quick lecture. No more questions? You sure?
Apps like Figma make me fear my job security.
Sorry, security about what?
Apps like Figma makes concepts like job security a bit scarier. Because
Why?
it's
Why? I want to hear that train of thought. Why is
program can do.
What? Sorry.
It's crazy how much a program can do. So it gets to that point where you wonder when does a program get to a point where it can replace a person in terms of a job.
It's making those decisions preemptively without you having
No,
to dictate.
I don't think that. I think I have a nice video tech talk about that. For example, let's use the example. Let me share the screen one more time. Yeah, this is the last time, I promise. Let's remember this tool. This is Apple Numbers. It's basically like Excel, but prettier. Once the spreadsheet was invented, accountants never lose their jobs. They become more productive. So I believe that tools like Figma do the same. It will not make graphic designers lose their jobs. I think it will make them more productive, and they will build even more awesome stuff. So right now, to be honest, I am not afraid of that. 10 years ago, the social media, everybody was on social media, blah, blah, blah. And before that, there was a job, there's a new job called community manager. That job position didn't exist 10 years ago. And in Ecuador, I lead a successful team of 20 people with more than 10 community managers. And we were generating jobs that didn't exist 10 years ago. So I think that these new tools will create new opportunities. For example, 5 years ago, UX didn't exist. You went from idea from the client, and you start building applications. And thus, it was a long shot if the application was easy to use or it was horrible. Especially Java applications are famous for being super ugly. But with these graphic design tools, a new job, the UX researcher or UX designer, appeared, and now you have these wonderful websites like Airbnb. Airbnb has a beautiful design and experience. If you ever book a trip over there and compare it to trying to book a hotel room, there is a world of difference, because the hotels are run by old people that they don't care about user experience, but Airbnb is a nice startup, and they care about these new jobs like UX, and they make wonderful interfaces. So I am not afraid about that one, by the way.
Thank you. That's a nice insight to have. I appreciate that.
On Airbnb, their mobile experience is like their actual app is just also so good.
Yeah.
If you compare, you don't even compare Airbnb with a hotel. Compare Airbnb with something like Booking.com, and it's still so far ahead. The whole experience is so far ahead. It makes complete sense why their IPO was so big.
Yeah, it's because Airbnb has a budget so big that they actually have 3 kinds of staff for the design part. They have UX researchers. The UX researcher doesn't use a tool like Figma. He only interviews people to gain insights of why they actually need. Because people remember, people don't, I think that I wrote this recommendation in the software engineering course. The reason that clients don't write good case studies is because the clients doesn't fully understand what they need. Users do the same. They don't fully understand what they need. So you need to actually, like a detective, find out the truth. And there is a career called UX where you can become a specialized in UX research just about that. And then another one is the general purpose UX prototype designer that actually builds the prototypes that we just saw on the screen. And there is a third role, the UI designer. This is a role that I do, is where you actually make the buttons pretty and you are super crazy about the font size, that everything needs to be on a scale of 8. Yeah, this kind of crazy cycle stuff is for the UI designer.
Mhm.
And Airbnb has a wonderful team of each roles, and that's why they have a beautiful interface experience. It's all about teamwork, all about teamwork. So okay, we are 1 hour away, but I see people making a lot of questions and some people silent. So if there is a person that never asked a question before, I will allow you one more question from them. If not, I think that we are all for today. Thank you so much for having this optional lecture. It's not obligatory for your small website, but probably can help you a lot, and probably will help you a lot when you need to work in the group in the group project, when you need to communicate ideas, especially because you are working remotely in comparison to previous iterations where people were gathering around in this classroom and then just can use a piece of paper and draw around. So yeah, thank you so much for having me. Next lecture maybe will be either other technologies or TypeScript. I need to decide that one. Yep, see you tomorrow.
That was
Thanks
super
a lot.
useful.
Bye.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very